Hello to everyone listening to this video. I'm starting a series of video sessions on the Spring Framework. I shall be covering almost all the modules of the Spring Framework one after the other. Talking about the Spring Framework, you may be aware about Spring Boot. So in the first couple of videos, we shall be talking about the Spring Framework and use it to create a Spring MVC application the legacy way. We will then add a little security to it, and that's it. We will then use the same knowledge to create a Spring Boot application having the same functionality. This exercise shall also serve us as an entry point into the Spring Boot ecosystem. After this, the different modules of the Spring framework will be explained using Spring Boot. Before we go further, let me give clarity on the target audience this video is intended for. As you can see from this slide, the target audience shall have at least 3 to 5 years of experience in application development using Spring. The audience should have thorough Java knowledge, and I'm expecting the audience to have updated themselves to Java 8. At least lambdas from Java 8 will be helpful. Servlet API knowledge, specifically from version 3.1. Why? Because Spring has given some additional classes so that we can deploy our Spring applications without the usage of XML files. That means by just using annotations, we can completely develop a Spring application. Again, I'm reiterating that of course this video is not intended for freshers. So I'm expecting the audience to have the basic understanding of Spring Core, MVC, Spring Data, Spring Security, these modules. I'm not expecting complete knowledge of these modules from the audience, but with a basic understanding of what exactly is a dependency, what exactly is dependency injection, what do you mean by IOC, these some typical basic understanding of these. Of course, I will be covering Spring Core, Spring MVC, Spring Data, Spring Security, and there are other modules in detail in the video sessions. A basic understanding of Maven is appreciated. Knowledge of JPA, JDBC, MongoDB, RabbitMQ, Redis will be an added advantage. Even though we will be talking about the Spring MVC, a little bit of understanding about the REST APIs, what a REST API application is. That's what I'm expecting from you. And uh, last but not least, knowledge about design patterns. Some of the design patterns that you should know are strategy, observer, iterator, decorator, builder, and such. We will be talking about these patterns in detail during the course, but of course, a basic understanding of the design patterns will always be helpful. So we need some of the tools to accomplish our tasks. So of course, I don't need to elaborate on a JDK, and here we will be using JDK version 8. We can definitely use JDK 7 too, no issues with that, but I prefer to use JDK 8. Eclipse is the IDE I am using for this video session, and the latest I am using is Oxygen. Prefer you also use the same. So, and the last we need for Spring application development is an Eclipse plugin given to us by Pivotal, known as the Spring Tool Suite. So once we have these three, that's enough for us to start developing applications using the Spring framework. We may also need MySQL or MongoDB board for database connectivity, and ActiveMQ, RabbitMQ, Redis for messaging and other communication technologies. Some of the Spring modules that we will be discussing are the Spring MVC, where we will mostly be talking about the REST APIs. We will be talking about how to test the REST API application using the Mockito and Hamcrest libraries, Java messaging service, AMQP, JPA, Mongo, Spring security module, the actuator module, and finally the Spring cloud module. Of course, I forgot to tell you, we will be talking in depth about Spring Boot, its opinionated architecture, its auto configuration features, and such. Um, the cloud module enables us to create applications using the microservices architecture. So we will also be looking in depth to this architecture and the tools that are required for a successful microservices implementation. And finally, how to deploy the application into the cloud. I will be using three different cloud platforms, the Amazon Web Service, Pivotal Cloud Foundry, and OpenShift Kubernetes. So I think that is suffice for a start. So let us go into the technical sessions.